All right, so the bread has been raising for about, or I should say the dough's been raising for about another hour here. I'm going to take the little tea towel off, and we can see, just again by looking at the sides here, it's about doubled in size here. And so I'm just going to go ahead and work this out of here. And so you can see it slides out nice and easily. Now I don't want to over handle it at this point. I've worked on developing gluten and air inside it, so I don't want to overwork it here, but I do want to make sure to shape it here. So what I like to do here is first weigh how much I have. Now, you don't have to weigh it, but the reality is how many ever loaves you're going to make with this, you want them to be about the same size. And the reason for that is, of course, you want them to all bake at and be done at about the same time. And so me, again, being the engineer, of course, I have my like fun little gadgets here, and I'm going to, of course, have to weigh to see how much dough I have here. So I'll put it back in here. So I have roughly 600 grams of dough. So I'm going to make 200-gram little dough balls. And I have a nice little bench scraper here. You don't have to. I mean, you can just use a knife, but I like a bench scraper here, so I can just portion this out here. And I have done this many times as I was able to kind of portion it out pretty much about equal size here. Now, shaping bread is actually an extremely important thing. In order to get the bread to kind of stay up correctly and to have a nice shape and maintain its shape and not just go flat on you, you need to shape it properly. So we're going to make like little rolls here, but what we're actually going to do here is we're actually going to stretch this dough out a tiny bit and kind of make it, I'm not going to push it flat, but I'm going to just kind of stretch it out and make like a rectangular or circle here. And then what I'm going to do here, it looks kind of weird, I'm going to take a corner here and just kind of start taking little corners and pinching them here to the center of my dough here. And so I've got several there. And now this doesn't look great, so what I'm going to do here now is finish shaping this. If it's small enough loaf, you can just simply do it by rolling it with a single hand. I like rolling it like this, but this is a little too big to do that. And I just put a little bit of flour down, just a tiny bit so that it doesn't stick. But then what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of bring this in here and tuck underneath. So I'm kind of turning and shaping at the same time. And then we can kind of roll it together here. And that's not very good right now because you want to actually get it so that it pinches together at the bottom here. So let me keep doing this. And there we go. So we've got a nice, and you might say it doesn't look very great here like this, but again, some of this is there's a little air pocket right here. And so some of this will kind of smooth out and round out better once it's been relaxed. So I'm going to take a pan here now, and I like to use parchment paper here. And I'm just going to set this down on my parchment paper. So I'm going to do the same thing with these other pieces of dough here. And then put them, relatively close together. They don't need to be touching or anything. The reason I'm putting them close together is I'm going to be covering them, and what I'm covering them with needs them to be at least a little bit close together here. So, again, just kind of manhandle it a little bit here. And then do my And there we go. So we have our 3 little dough balls here, and these are going to form our little loaves. And so honestly, that's it for this step here. We now just need to simply cover these. And I like using, and actually I need to move this one a little bit here. I like using an upside down plastic here because you want to cover it so that you don't get any wind or draft on it. But I've also found that if you like just put a tea towel down on it or something like this, at this point you're going to weight the dough down, and we're still letting it rise a little bit more. The dough is going to relax a little bit because we've handled it now again, and so we've tightened up those gluten strands a little bit, and so the dough is going to relax and still get one final raise before we actually bake it. Now, to get ready to, what I often do is I just go ahead and start preheating the oven right now, and I preheat it at 450 degrees. And I just kind of set these off to the side, and this should be 30 to 45 minutes to rise. Again, that just depends on the temperature, and some people say it's got to be double in bulk. They just need to get bigger, a little bit bigger, and you'll be able to see it in the next video.